Good day, Tesseract leaders. Welcome back. Today, our discussion on signature strategies. We only have 4 of these left before our 6-year plans will be complete, and we will rally together over the summer to compare our thoughts and ideas on our long-term plan for professional development of ourselves, the math leaders, and the teachers that we serve. So again, our purpose of the Tesseract project is to radically improve the math education at our schools through focused, customized professional development of us and our leadership skills. And so together, we're going to sharpen each other's like swords on stone, right? So today I want to make sure that we know we're focusing more on the math education piece, this discussion, and the next one will be more focused on what's going to be happening in the math classrooms and how we'll support teachers to get that done. So less of a PLC meeting protocol focus and more of a instructional support focus. But our 3 axioms, we're back to our teacher lifting up the students, because we know the students don't improve until the teachers improve. Teachers don't improve until the leaders improve, and the systems are getting exactly the results that they were designed to get. And so if we want that student at the top to do better or have greater quality of education, then we need to be changing something in the system that will lift both the teachers and the students. And that's going to be done. That system is the PLC. So we'll tie this all together, how we go back to the PLC and use that to drive the change in instruction. But right now we're going to be looking at the instructional pieces, because our symbolism for these next couple of discussions is all about innovation. I shared with you last time that Tesseract is the name for a heavy metal band based in England. I did find out there's a guy in there that has a Masters of Engineering, and most of them are kind of nerdy dudes, which is very typical actually of a lot of heavy metal bands. But so they're a very scientific, math-minded bunch, and I'm going to share with you once again what they're known for. I stated last time that they are the founders of the Diet guitar playing model, but they're actually just kind of, let me turn this up here for you. Look at the hands, look how they look kind of different on the fretboard. And how the palm is used on the right hand. And so, by the way, see that background? Yeah, that's where we're going to have our meeting on the 21st, right? Okay. Not. Oh, we can wish. It's summertime. All righty. So going back to this conversation. So that's just motivation to understand that even though Tesseract itself, I was starting to say, didn't actually start that particular technique of guitar, they carried it forward through the progressive metal. They're the ones that made it more popular. So we're looking at innovation, doing things differently than they have been done before. And on our objective for today, we're looking at specifically the line that says signature strategies. I had completed this one on the model for the 6-year plan. So you'll see where I've placed these things. I'm going to go through this one more time with you, but then you get to place these wherever you see fit. I'm framing the dialogue on what we should kind of talk about. You're more than welcome to, and I'll keep encouraging you. Add things, delete things, change things around. I'm just here to start the dialogue, not to dictate it. This is on the part of the notes. You'll see there on the instructional focus for the dual targets and the 3-week protocol and the reasoning routines, all parts of what we're going to talk about. And this idea came out of what's going on in San Francisco Unified, who's just crushing it out of the park on the new standards and implementing a lot of instructional change within their very large urban district. So I want to say that they gave this idea of signature strategies. Now, they only have 3, but they have a 3-year plan. We have 5 that I'm going to introduce here, 5 or 6, but we have a 6-year plan. So we're going to look at kind of introducing that over time, but this idea of not just telling teachers simply, hey, I want you to do more problem solving, and then leaving it up to them to figure out what problem solving is, but saying we want our kids to be doing more problem solving. So here is a signature strategy or an idea that you can use in your classroom that has been tried and tested, proven to work in developing problem solving. It's that kind of I think. So what are the signature strategies that I would like to pose for discussion? And the first one is this idea of dual targets. Other districts may call them objectives, instructional objectives, or instructional goals. But basically, we're in our district used to writing or speaking the content target of the day in kid-friendly language. We want to get teachers used to speaking not only the content target, that's the first target. Second target is which of the 8 mathematical practices are going to be involved in that lesson for that day. And so that's the dual target. I like to write them as one sentence. When I taught, I did it as such. Teachers can tend to write them as 2. We'll work on that. That's part of the conversation we can have. How are we going to encourage teachers to do it? Are they going to just speak it, write it? But we want them focusing on this idea that each day they're not only given a content piece, but they're also teaching one of the 8 mathematical practices. Another signature strategy that we have, and this is one that San Francisco uses. This is Harold here, Astorius, Dr. Astorius, out of Berkeley, popularized something called the 3-read protocol. Did this training for Sandy and Temecula Elementary. I believe it went very well. It's a really simple strategy, and it fits under the close reading paradigm. So elementary school teachers are kind of used to that, but basically it's what it says. It's a 3 reads protocol. When you are making sense of a problem, working on developing problem-solving skills and strategies for word problems, you do 3 reads. In the first read, you speak it aloud. Kids are not reading, they're just listening. And then the question which you front load, tell the kids before they actually hear the problem stem is, I'm going to ask you at the end, what is this about? And then they turn and talk to their partners, and then you share out in the whole class discussion. Then you do a second read, and then the teacher reads, or the kids can read to each other. So one student reads to the second student. I used to do it to the whole class. I'd have one student read aloud to the whole class. I've been told later that's not a true 3-read protocol, but it worked. So you can do things like that. But let's start with one student pairing up, and one student reads to the second student. And so everybody has a chance. There's more chance of kids reading. And so one kid reads, another one listens. And what they're listening for is quantities and units. So they're looking for mathematically what can go on in those word problems that we might want to ask a math question about. And then the third one, now the second partner reads back to the first, and the conversation for them together as well as whole class is, what questions can we ask? A problem stem is a word problem without the question at the end. And then you can ask the kids, what kind of questions can we ask? Sometimes the problems do have the questions there. So I just adjust it and say, what do you wonder? What more information do we need? What other data do we have to collect? Or this is a good time to bring in academic vocabulary. What words don't we understand that's in there? So that's the 3-read protocol. There's also this book, which is getting enormously popular in our district. So I think this will blend very nicely in with our plans. And that is the Routines for Reasoning that's Grace and Amy, the 2 authors there. And what's beautiful about this work that they've done, these 2 women in their research out of Boston, is they've looked at the math practices, and then they developed routines, again, signature strategies, for each of the 8 math practices. In fact, the first routine for making sense of problems, math practice number 1, is the 3-read protocol. So it ties in very nicely. And then you'll see over here, contemplate, then calculate is another routine that they have for one of the other practices. All of them you'll see there have a 5-step approach. It's kind of the launch of the problem and then the conclusion piece. So it's really nice, tight-fitting practice protocol for teachers, and then they look at it, and of course it looks differently in 2nd grade than it does in Algebra 1 and 9th grade, but it's still the same 5 steps for teaching that particular practice with whatever content is there too. And then the next piece is teaching more number sense. And so I'm sharing books here. So yes, you have my book there, Clothesline Math. And then there's also Ruth Parker's Making Number Talks Matter. And that right there is a picture of a wonderful meeting between Dr. Parker and myself. I'd actually heard her speak early on in my career. She affected me greatly through the 3 decades I've been teaching about number sense. And she was actually in a session at a conference of mine where I was presenting on Clothesline Math. And then a few months later, we had a fantastic lunch meeting at the national conference discussing building of number sense in students. She's fantastic. Like I said, a huge influence of mine. It was quite a treat to have her in the session and actually give her an autograph book, so that was fun. But basically, all that set aside, really Ruth Parker is a pioneer in teaching number sense for kids. So there's two things that can be used. One is Number Talks, which is more and more popular in our district, and Clothesline Math, which fits under the umbrella of Number Talks. And Clothesline can go K-12. And I'm not saying that we need teachers doing both. I'm going to give you two more. But over the course of the 6 years, I'm suggesting that we show them 4 different ways to build number sense, and then they can choose for their team and their site what is best for them. I actually use both of those and these two depending upon the situation. So I had all 4 of these in my teaching tool belt. I didn't use just one. That's also why I'm kind of leaning towards sharing all 4. The other 2 are the 4-digit problem, which came out of California Math Project, CPM, or College Preparatory Math Project out of UC Davis. And it's a 4-digit problem, very similar to what Joe Buller does with 4 4s. I've done it with 4 8s, and I've shared that training with the district as well. And then there's the math tricks. So number tricks, and that can be done, that's basically starts with algebra, so it's more of a middle school on up number sense activity, but all 4 of them, for a variety of reasons, depending upon the situation, are best used for teaching specific content or a specific math practice, going back to the reasoning routine. So all of this ties in together. And so when we look at this, I've put the list here. Those are the things I just discussed, plus whatever you may see as a signature strategy. There might be something you really have been gung-ho on with your district and already started to work on. So let's look at having that conversation, share that idea with others on the team, and we can look at how we can use the systems at our school to better support that. So yes, you're looking at that line. I'm showing you once again, we always start at the end and do backwards planning. So the goal here is that we want a team 6 years from now that's teaching both number sense and critical thinking on a daily basis. That's the ultimate goal. So then I worked backwards from there, and you'll see that's my layout of the order in which I believe that I would have these introduced to the teachers, but you may have a different thought. So this is just a model. You're going to develop your own. I give you a card sort once again for these strategies. It's right there, and you go back to your Google Sheet and fill that out. You'll notice after this one, we only have 3 more, so we're getting close. And so I look forward to seeing what you have to offer. So lesson 8 in the Tesseract Signature Strategies in the Google Classroom is this lesson, and the 6th Student Desmos activity is there at student.desmos.com. And then you're going to record your PLC signature strategies in your 6-year plan. I look forward to seeing what you're doing, because now we're going to strategically rock this world.